The Seattle coffee shop buzzed with the usual morning crowd, students on laptops, business people grabbing caffeine, and 5 young Marines in civilian clothes occupying the corner table. They were loud, energetic, fresh off their first deployment and riding the invincible high that comes with surviving combat. Staff Sergeant Mike Torres led the group, 26 with 3 years in the Corps. They just returned from the Middle East, and everything felt like celebration. They swapped stories, laughed too loud, and soaked up attention their military bearing naturally attracted. That's when the old man shuffled in. He had to be in his 80s, moving with careful steps of someone whose body had endured decades of hard use. His face was deeply lined, hands trembling slightly. He wore a faded Hawaiian shirt, khaki shorts, and sandals. On his right forearm, visible beneath the sleeve, was a tattoo that had blurred and faded with age. He ordered coffee and moved toward an empty table near the Marines. As he passed, his sleeve rolled up, revealing more of the tattoo and eagle and sun symbol, though details were lost to time. Lance Corporal Davis, 21 and cocky, elbowed his buddy. "Check out Grandpa's ink," he said, voice low but not low enough. The group snickered. What happened next would teach these young warriors the most important lesson about respect they'd ever learn. If you're enjoying this story, hit that like button and subscribe, because what's about to unfold will leave you speechless. "Probably got it at some biker bar in the 70s, another Marine whispered. Torres glanced over and grinned. Just Marines being Marines, talking trash. But then a woman entered the shop. She wore civilian clothes, but her bearing was unmistakable. Mid-40s, fit, short-cropped hair, and the kind of presence that made people straighten their posture. She scanned the room with trained eyes, spotted the Marines, and walked directly to their table. "Gentlemen," she said, her voice carrying authority, "I'm Captain Sarah Mitchell, USMC. Mind if I join you?" Torres stood immediately. "Ma'am, of course." "We didn't realize." She waved him down and took a seat, but her eyes had found the old man. She stared at his exposed forearm, at that faded tattoo, and her entire demeanor shifted. Color drained from her face. "Do you know who that is?" she asked quietly, voice tight. The Marines exchanged confused glances. "Just some old guy, ma'am," Davis said. Captain Mitchell's jaw clenched. "That tattoo. Did any of you actually look at it?" Torres squinted across the space. From this angle, with better light, he could make out more detail. An eagle perched on a globe and anchor. And beneath it, barely visible, numbers and letters. His stomach dropped. "That's a Marine Corps tattoo," Mitchell said, barely above a whisper. "But not just any tattoo. See those numbers? That's a unit designation. 1st Battalion, 9th Marines. The Walking Dead." The table went silent. 1/9 had the highest casualty rate of any Marine battalion in Vietnam, she continued. They earned that nickname because they kept getting back up, kept fighting, no matter how many times they got hit. And that smaller symbol under the eagle, that's only given to Marines who served in a specific operation. She paused, then stood. That's the symbol for Khe Sanh. Even these young Marines knew that name. Khe Sanh's 77 days of siege, thousands of Marines surrounded, constant bombardment, some of the most brutal combat of the entire war. If you're still watching, drop a comment about a time you judged too quickly. And make sure you're subscribed because we share powerful stories like this every week. Captain Mitchell walked to the old man's table. The Marines watched as she stood at attention and rendered a sharp salute. The old man looked up, surprised, then slowly, painfully rose and returned it. They spoke quietly. The old man's eyes were wet. Mitchell gestured toward their table. He shook his head, but she insisted gently. She returned, now looking angry. "That man is Gunnery Sergeant Robert Chun, retired. He was 22 when his unit got sent to Khe Sanh. He went in with a platoon of 43 Marines. 17 walked out. He earned 2 Purple Hearts, a Silver Star, and carried 3 wounded Marines through enemy fire to the evac zone on the last day." Her voice hardened. "He spent 6 months in a hospital. Did 2 more tours after that because the Corps needed experienced NCOs. Served 26 years total, trained hundreds of young Marines. Davis looked like he wanted to disappear. Now, Mitchell continued, you're going to walk over there, apologize, and thank him for his service. And you're going to mean it. The 5 Marines approached the old man's table. Torres spoke first, voice thick with shame. Gunny, we owe you an apology. We were disrespectful, and there's no excuse. Gunny Chun looked at them with tired eyes that had seen too much. He was quiet, then spoke in a voice rough with age. You boys just got back. Yes, sir. 3 weeks ago. Middle East? Yes, Gunny. Chun nodded slowly. Then you've seen things. Done things. Lost people. Maybe. He gestured to the empty chairs. Sit. For 20 minutes, Gunny Chun talked. He didn't lecture or shame. He told them about his war, about brothers who didn't come home, about nightmares that still woke him 50 years later. He told them about remembering, about respecting those who came before, about understanding that every generation of warriors stands on the shoulders of the previous one. That tattoo, he said, touching the faded ink, isn't about me being tough. It's about making sure I never forget the men who didn't make it home. Every morning I see it, and I remember their names. That's what it means to be a Marine. We carried him with us. When he stood to leave, all 5 Marines stood with him. They shook his hand one by one, and this time their thanks were genuine, heavy with newfound understanding. After he left, they sat in silence. Captain Mitchell stood. You're good Marines. You've proven that. But remember today. Remember that respect isn't just for active duty. Every old veteran you see, every faded tattoo, every guy in the VFW hall, they've got stories that would humble you. Don't ever forget that. This story reminds us that we live in a world shaped by those who came before us. That elderly veteran at the grocery store, that old man with faded military ink, they carry histories of sacrifice we can barely imagine. Before you judge, before you laugh, before you dismiss, remember Gunny Chun and the 43 Marines who went to Quezon. Remember that respect costs nothing, but means everything. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs this reminder. Thank a veteran today, not just with words, but with genuine respect for what they've endured. Hit that subscribe button for more stories that teach us about honor, sacrifice, and the true meaning of service. What's the most important lesson from this story? Let us know in the comments. We stand on the shoulders of giants, never forget it.